compared to what we've got right now. It's still not going to be desperately chilly. Temperatures tomorrow, for example, will be around 4 degrees in Scotland, 7 degrees in the south. However, tomorrow evening, Boxing Day night, there is a chance of a little bit of snow across the Welsh Hills and maybe the Pennines. I'm Thomas Schaffenacker, 5 Live Weather.
Thanks very much indeed, Thomas. Thomas there with the latest on the weather. Coming up, Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong guy. First, let's get the latest headlines here on 5 Live with Helen Place.
More live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
BBC News on 5 Live at 12:30. Meghan Markle's made her first appearance with the royal family as she attended the Christmas Day service at the church on the Queen's Sandringham estate. Hundreds of people gathered to watch them arrive. The Queen will use her speech today to pay tribute to the spirit of the people of Manchester and London following the terrorist attacks there this year. 10 people have died in a suicide bombing near Afghanistan's intelligence agency in Kabul. The Islamic State group says it was behind the attack. An investigation's underway after a man was killed in a car crash during a police pursuit in Liverpool. It happened just after 4:30 this morning when the BMW hit a bus stop in the Old Swan area of the city. The incident has been referred to the IPCC. London's Euston Station is being transformed into a huge dining hall for homeless people today. It's been organised by staff from Network Rail and the homeless charity St Mungo's. All the sport now, here's Dom.
England will begin their latest attempt to beat Australia in the Ashes when the Boxing Day test gets underway later. Tom Curran will be given his test debut. Coming in for the injured Craig Overton, and the England captain Joe Root has been giving his reasons for the selection.
I do think that making this change gives Tom a great opportunity. It gives a chance for us to see what he can provide it at this level, and the skills and everything that Tom brings leads us to the selection.
The Australian captain Steve Smith will have to bat with an injured wrist, but remains sure that the hosts can get another victory.
We're obviously pretty confident. It's been a good summer so far. Obviously won back the Urn, which was the objective at the start of the series, and we've now got an opportunity to keep winning. That's been my message to the boys. Don't worry about 5-0 at this stage. You've got to win this one first and keep winning games of cricket. I think winning can become a bit of a habit, and for us it's about trying to stay in those good habits.
It's also been announced that Australia's head coach Darren Lehmann will step down from his position after the 2019 Ashes tour in England. Well, you can hear ball-by-ball coverage of the 4th Ashes test from the MCG in Test Match Special with all the team on 5 Live Sports Extra from 11 p.m. this evening. Southampton's top scorer, Charlie Austin, has been handed a 3-match ban. He's been charged with violent conduct by the FA. Sheffield Wednesday and Middlesbrough are both looking for managers over the Christmas period after they got rid of theirs, Carlos Carvajal and Gary Monk respectively, after the fixture between the two sides. And after 7 defeats in a row, Rugby Union's European champions are back to winning ways.
Belted into the Holland and Barrett stand by Owen Farrell. He's been superb today for his side. Captain Sarries kicked 17 points, including a smart drop goal. 2 Saracens tries, the penalty try and the Jamie George score. And despite Leicester rallying somewhat with Matt Tate, one of their try scorers, on the whole, it's been a pretty convincing job done by Saracens.
29-17 the final score at Welford Road. The England wing Johnny May was sent off in that match for receiving 2 yellow cards. A host of race meetings taking place tomorrow. They include the King George VI Stakes at Kempton. We'll keep you right across those in 5 Live Sport tomorrow afternoon. And the former world number 1 tennis player Serena Williams is making a surprise comeback to the sport. This at the Mubadala exhibition event in Abu Dhabi next Saturday. It takes place just 4 months after she's had her baby, and it's in preparation for the defence of her Australian Open title in January.
The Ashes, the 4th test, live from Melbourne.
There's Wokes on strike, Cummings on a short ball, he goes for it, caught behind. He was looking to play that down towards third man. Australia have won, and they have regained the Ashes.
England have lost the series, but now have pride to play for.
We want to show that we can play out here and we can perform out here.
We're not playing to not lose 5-0, we're playing to win the next test match.
The Ashes, the 4th test, live from Melbourne, starts tonight from 11.
On 5 Live Sport.
Now on 5 Live, we join Freddie, Robbie and Matthew for some of the best bits from their award-winning podcast, Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong guy.
That's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to a new show with Andrew Flintoff, Robbie Savage and me, Matthew Syed, who they call, slightly unfairly, the Ping-Pong guy.
This is Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong guy.
You was asking if you got any stories about Valentine's Day, and Robbie was saying, I got one. That's Robbie's voice. He said, I got one. I phoned the missus to verify it. So she's on a loudspeaker on the table in BBC. So Robbie goes, hey Sarah, tell us what I bought you before I was going to go to Sweden. She said, a PVC suit? No, Sarah, not the PVC. What else did he buy? But then I text her afterwards. I said, a PVC question mark. And then she sent a reply, I'll show you, Robbie. It said, she tore it putting it on.
She did.
I don't want to know where, Sarah. I don't want to know where it is at her.
That's true. Yeah, Robbie, what were you hoping she was going to say when you sent that over?
So basically, when I was at Crewe, I met my wife 21 years ago. I was at Crewe, and I was coming to the end of my contract at Crewe. I started going out with my wife in November. My contract was up in the June. I was on £200 a week at Crewe. I had no money, and I seen this beautiful girl who I knew was the one for me. Yeah, I was out in Chester with Danny Murphy, believe it or not, and he introduced me to my wife. So I chased her. Anyway, I got to go out with her in the January. So in the February, my first Valentine's Day, my wife, and there was an opportunity for me. I was either going to go Leicester, Crystal Palace, Malmo in Sweden. So I thought, right, I've got to try and, make sure, cement the relationship, yeah, because it was like, I was starting to go out with her, but not 100%. So I thought, right, I've got to do something to make her think of me, if I went to Sweden. So I thought, what can I do? So I racked my brains, and I thought, she even brings up now, it's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. So I had no money, so I thought, what it's a high bar, right? So I thought,
brace yourself, listeners.
What can I do so she'll never forget me if it doesn't work out, and I want to marry this woman. So I went to a jeweller's and I bought a locket. It was like a locket.
That's not that embarrassing.
A locket. No, it was a locket, like a nice one. I think it was gold or gold plate or whatever it was. And so I bought it and I thought, right. So I said, listen, I've bought you this gold locket. I might be going to Sweden, but I want you to remember me by this gold locket. And she went, so that's nice. Anyway, so when she opened it up, what I'd done, because, obviously my hair was so, extraordinary and wonderful and beautiful, I cut a piece of my hair and I've put it in the locket. Yeah, I did, Fred.
I got a minute.
You gave your girlfriend a
lock of my hair.
A clip of your men?
Yeah, I did, and she still got it. And guess what? We got married and two beautiful kids. So the hair,
it worked.
It worked.
I got a minute, mate. So it's your first Valentine's Day.
Going through your head.
You bought your missus a locket. Where did you snip the bit off? The front or the back?
No, it was a highlighted bit. So it was the blonde bit.
You put it in a locket.
In a locket.
And it's quite ironic now that your missus whinges at you for going to the hairdressers 3 times a week for a blow dry.
That's true.
Freddie, you're next. I'm chairing this.
Right, you've got to understand, right? I'm not particularly romantic, right? I try and things backfire. I'm not good at it. And also, you got to remember, as a kid growing up, I was a cricketer. You try and woo a girl by telling him you play cricket. They don't have it. That film, Billy Elliot, he's never had it easy. You try being a cricketer, not a ballet dancer. I met the missus, right? I was playing on a Saturday at Edgbaston. She had her own company, one of the sponsors. She was looking after them, and I saw her in the exec box afterwards. I thought, she's nice, sir. I'd love to talk to her. I couldn't do it. So I got a number off someone. I texted her asking her for a drink. I signed off Fred. She thought, who's Fred? So I explained, I'm like the chubby cricketer with a skinhead. So I met her in the bar at the hotel for a drink afterwards. And it went well. I said, I'll take you out tomorrow night. Let's go to the living room. I've got a 30% off card in Birmingham. So it's all good. It's a done deal. We're going to finish. We're going to beat Sri Lanka on the Sunday. I'm going to take her out for dinner. I get up Sunday morning. I go in the dressing room. All the lads are sat there. News of the World newspapers laughing. My ex-girlfriend had sold a story on me. Right? The headline read, Flintoff's lovemaking like he's bowling. Hard, fast and short of leg. Right? And this is on the first date. I'm sat there over me nachos saying, did you see any press today? She said there's a lovely piece about you in the Times. Oh, that'll do for me, kid. And then we had a few drinks. And after dinner she said, I saw the News of the World as well. Oh, we laughed. It turned out all right. in the
And you
end.
married her, you got 3 great kids.
I did, thanks to Viagra.
I've only ever had one Valentine's card in my life, and it came when I was about 14. And my mum, she couldn't believe it when it came through the door.
Did she send it?
Did she send it? So I opened it thinking, oh my goodness, somebody fancies me out there. Skeletor. It's amazing. And I opened it. And it was from the only female table tennis umpire in Britain. She was about 60. Not good. Just on the radio, did you have to have a lot of training in order to figure out how much you should say and when you should say it?
Yeah, because I'm not grammatically...
Not a serious question.
Serious. My grammar is not the best, as I think we found out, and I do speak a bit quick sometimes. I've got a nasal problem, you know. Well, I have. I get hammered, don't I? Let's be fair. I do get hammered.
You've got a nasal problem.
You can see what I...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think you're in the right profession?
I've often asked myself that. You know.
So, some of the things you've said. My favourite is when you said, Mark Hughes has crossed every I and dotted every T. you said it in a Welsh accent rather than half Jamaican.
Yeah, I do say a few
What
things.
about this? What about this one? You've said, what about this one? There are kids out there that would chop their legs off to play football for Brighton. What? Chop the legs off to play for Brighton?
I meant his arm and arms.
Well, they still struggle with no arms. What do you mean? Oh, that's all right then. Just chop their arms off.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a saying. What's the saying? What's that saying?
You would give his right arm.
Whatever that saying is, it's not that.
Yeah, but you know what I meant.
Chop the legs off.
He didn't say.
Yeah, I did.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Look, I've got it here. Let's play a little game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quote from a famous football pundit, and you've got to tell me who it is. The accent, I'm going to do the accent, so it might be a little bit of a giveaway. All right, we're ready. The first one. When they don't score, they hardly ever win.
I knew that
Michael Owen.
Michael Owen. It's a good run, but it's a poor run, if you know what I mean. I don't know what you mean, Michael. I've got no idea. Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Tell me. Another one here from Michael. It's hit the facial part of his head. That's his face, Michael. That's his face. You don't have to say the facial
I'm going to
part.
stick up for Michael. I think in front of the camera, he's brilliant.
Footballers these days have to use their feet.
Was that me? Who's that?
You don't even know that was Michael again.
Next topic, the value of money. How did you guys handle it when you started earning big cash from cricket and football? What were your best and worst purchases? Did you get any help in trying to shepherd your money and to invest for the future? What was it like? Robbie, this is your topic.
Well, like you pointed out, I am tired. I'm just going to nod off for 10 minutes here because Robbie's going to fill this segment. Hey? Well, Robbie.
So basically, Matthew, you know, I was on £150 a week of crew. Used to borrow money off my mum to take my girlfriend, who is now my wife, out. You know, borrowed X amount of pounds of her. When I signed for Leicester City, I think I owed her about 9 or 10 grand in the money I borrowed because she bought me a little car, borrowed me money to take my wife out. And so when I actually joined Leicester, I had nothing. I had to give her the 9 or 10 grand back. So when I went from 150 quid a week to 3.5 grand a week, the first thing I did was what?
Wow, hang on a minute. How old were you then?
I was 21, 22.
21, 22?
Yeah. I was 150 quid a week, a crew, and then went to Leicester on 3.5 grand a week and a 50 grand a year sign-on fee, so 4 grand a week.
Wow.
When I was 4, and it's like, Fred, it was like, I can't explain it. It was bizarre. Like, you're borrowing money off your mum 1 minute, like, to get some jeans or on a new shirt, and then you're on £4,000 a week. And I remember I had a little Fiesta, and I crashed it, and I thought, what can I buy? So I bought a pink Porsche.
You did that on? You crashed it.
I bought a pink Porsche. My mum tells a story.
You went from a Fiesta to a pink Porsche.
So when I signed for Leicester, so I remember I signed for Leicester, and I went there with my agent, my dad. Anyway, on the way home, I went past this garage, and
you saw a pink Porsche.
So my mum tells a story. She said, "This lad,
I didn't know they made them."
Yeah, this lad drives me mad. He said he left our little house in Wrexham in a white Fiesta. He turned up in a bloody pink Porsche. 4 hours later.
Why did you get a pink one?
No idea. It was there.
Bright pink.
It was like purpley pink. like a big purple.
How much
Right
did it
off
cost?
Katie Price?
No, it was about. It was a second-hand one. It was about 60 grand.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah. And but the thing is,
I can imagine him in shop. Here he comes, lads. Here he comes.
It was.
Hey, we'll get rid of this to this. He's coming in now. That's Savage. He'll buy this.
Money is just a different world. And
So
you
the
can't
first
believe
big
it.
paycheck,
Yeah.
you went out and bought a pink Porsche.
Yeah.
What
As
did
your
the thing
salary
say?
went... What did it say?
What did the lad say when you rock up
What
with
do
a
you
pink
think?
Porsche?
What do you think? Who's this clown here? Who's this fool?
No, before the Porsche.
But it blew up the same night I bought it.
What, the Porsche?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a bonus,
Yeah,
wasn't it? Got rid of it.
it blew up. The engine went in the first night I had it. Incredible. One point where I bought a boat.
Boat?
But
A rowing boat?
No.
A rowing boat?
Like a big one.
What big boat?
Like a yacht kind of thing.
So you had a
How
yacht?
much was that?
So let me tell you the story.
Where did you keep it?
Exactly.
You one of them where you're on path,
So listen,
was it water?
Can I just say that I was very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. But it's when you go from having nothing to having money which you can only dream of at a level, you're thinking, wow, I can have anything. So remember, we used to go to Abersock. I had a little 19-footer, you know, so I could go there the weekends, get the dinghy on the back and the rubber ring and tow my mates and try and get them off. Then I went to like a 25-footer. What? Seriously. Seriously, it was bizarre. It's a bizarre story, isn't it? Then I went to a 35-footer and the money kept going up. And with boats, you can't stop.
35 foot.
You can't
stop.
stop. You can't.
What do you mean you can't? You can't.
You get addicted.
You shouldn't start.
You can't.
Are you one of them looking at everyone's boat in Marina thinking, I want a bigger one?
Yeah, you do. You feel.
I want a bigger one than Bob next to me. He sells carpet.
You park it, and there's like, you're looking at next to you, and I was always the smallest boat in between two masts.
Oh, that'd have killed you.
Yeah.
That would have killed you. I can imagine you sat on the back of your little boat having a brew in the morning, looking at the big boat next to you.
So,
Sarah, we're getting a bigger boat. We're going to get a bigger boat, Sarah.
So, do you know what I done? I went on a course in Abersock, and I got my licence to drive, or steer, whatever the word is, 70-foot boats. So I bought a 60-footer.
How much was that?
$500,000.
What?
$500,000.
What?
Yeah.
How much were you earning at the time?
$500,000.
I was probably earning about 35 grand a week.
So 2 million a year.
But it was on finance. It was paid like a mortgage was $4 grand a month. So when you're bringing home 80, you're paying out $4 a month. Well, you're still left with 76, aren't you? So it's
you are, Rob. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, but so you don't really know it's there. You're just thinking, I'll buy that boat on finance.
What did your wife say to that?
Fred knows my wife. She was like, not having it at all. Don't. What you doing? You fool. Save for our future. Blah blah. I said, live for today. I was one of those when I played for football. Live for today. Live for now.
Can't play
Listen, I had the white Fiesta.
Live in the moment, Sarah. We need a boat.
I had the white Fiesta with white wheel trims, with cloth seats.
Yeah.
900 quid's worth. 1.1. It would only go 60 mile an hour. And when you could have a £500,000 boat for. I'm going back.
This is Flintoff, Savage, and the Ping-Pong Guy.
What are our guilty pleasures? And this doesn't have to be sport. This can be anything.
I've got quite a few. I must admit, I'm a fan of Little Mix. You know, I like Justin Bieber.
Yep.
I've started getting into musical theatre, all these things, which I never do. But the one thing which is on a slight tangent, I remember a few years ago, I had to lose some weight quick. I had to lose because I put a bit on, and I knew that weighing day for England was coming up. So I researched it. So I thought, you know what I'll do? My mate had mentioned it. Colonic irrigation. Do you know irrigation?
Man.
Yeah,
I've heard
irrigation.
about it, yeah.
So there's a clinic in Hale where they do it. So I phoned my mate Paul. I said, Paul, where did you go? He said, I went to Hale. I said, right, get your PA to book me in. But don't book me in under my own name, right? He said, well, what name do you want? I says, well, Trevor Jesty. Right, Trevor
Jesty?
It was a batter and an umpire. So I booked in under Trevor Jesty, right? So I've turned up, I've parked my car at Hale Barnes. I've gone in the precincts and I'm sat there. There's these women having their nails done and I'm sat in the waiting room. So I'm sat there and then the girl comes out and says, Mr. Jesty. Mr. Jesty, are you ready for your treatment? I didn't move. I'm just looking around like that. So these women are like looking at me. They said, that's not Jesty. That's... So they're all looking at me. And then she said, Mr. Jesty, your irrigation. Oh no, so that's me. So I'm dying. All these women are looking at me. So I've gone in the room, right? I've gone in the room, and this girl, she was lovely. She says, right, what we're going to do, right? She said, what you need, you lie on the bed and put your knees up. So I've laid on the bed and I've put my knees up. And then she got this pipe out and plugged it in, right? So she's like, right? She said, how do you feel? I said, oh, it's lovely, that. Yeah, really nice. Oh, cracking. Yeah, can we get started? So she then turns the tap on. She says, what will happen is you'll feel the water come in, and then tell me when you can't take any more, turn it off, and then you'll start rejecting it. So I said, right, fine. So she starts turning this water on. Oh my word, it was awful. It was awful. It's like pumping up. And I'm thinking, well, how much is acceptable? Should I be taking 2 litres? Should I be taking 10? What's the guidelines? So she's taken the tap on, and I'm taking, and my eyes were like swimming. So I'm taking as much as I can. So I said, that's enough. So she turned it off. And then she had this, it was disgusting, right? She's got this mirror, like a mirror, one of them ones like a shaving mirror. And she points it down onto the pipe. So the pipe's all frosted, apart from a little bit of it, which is clear. So the water's gone up. She's saying, well, you can watch what comes out. So then I've started rejecting. And then she's rubbing my tummy to try and push it out more. And she's having a conversation with me as if this is the most normal thing in the world. It was the worst. And I ran out of the place, so embarrassed.
Did you lose weight as a consequence of it?
Well,
Did it
no,
work?
because what happened was, right, she said, right, now you've had this done, you can remove food. It might have been 5-6 years or so. She said, but now you've got to get some bacteria in your body, so get them Actimels. So I went to the shop and I felt dirty. So I got about 10 Actimels and just necked them, got on the scales, nothing.
When we moved to Manchester, and where we're settled now, where we call home, 12 years ago, I didn't have any friends. I've got no friends because people think, well...
This is a completely new area.
It's a new area, so I haven't got no friends. I had a friend who moved away, my pal called Terry, played tennis with him all the time, and then he left. So I couldn't count my number of good friends on one hand. And I was just thinking recently, now, we've got the gym group, and there's 6 of us. And Fred, listen, we've become very, very close friends. From Wrexham, I've got a friend called Jamie, who was my best pal, and he still is. Got a guy called Nutty as well.
What does he do, Nutty?
He's a taxi driver.
Oh.
Yeah. But these are my best friends from school, and I know if I broke down in the middle of nowhere, Jamie and Nutty would be
we'll pick up
a taxi driver.
Yeah.
Of course he would. What in heck? You'd be on the meter. Hang on a minute.
Just realised.
Are you sure this is a friend or just some? Is he just doing his job?
I just realised that.
Did you meet him on 118, 118?
I've just realised.
Hang on a minute, you can pick me up. Oh, Robbie.
I didn't realise.
It's going so well.
So well. So if I'm wrong, but listen.
Have you got a friend who clean your windows if they're dirty? Beat the window cleaner.
Listen, let me carry on. So, Matthew, listen. So these people are my real friends, right? But listen.
He's a taxi driver. What he does.
Can we start again? Stop hammering me. Can we start again?
Do team building trips actually work? What are our experiences? What have been the ups and the downs? Fred, what's your take on this?
Pointless. Absolutely pointless.
You don't think that you get to know each other better, that you develop certain characteristics?
What,
that
by
can help?
Being shoved under some water by an army man? Why do you?
Have you been on it? Have you been on any?
Yeah, I've been on them. Complete waste of time. It's time I'll never get back. Right, these team building exercises, you're part of a team. You're playing sport. You're doing the one thing that you wanted to do.
Yep.
I went on one. First one I went on was to the Lake District. It was December. It was cold. I got pulled into the office early doors for not taking it seriously. I was watching people.
Who was the coach?
The coach was Phil Neal, because I was with the under-19s, who then went through the England stuff with me.
Yep.
And I can't even remember who the coach was. That's how good it was.
But you got dragged in. You weren't.
Phil Neal pulled me in the office because I wasn't buying into it. We was pushing people through pieces of string between trees. I can't remember as a kid growing up watching the television thinking, you know what I'd want to do when I get older? I want to play cricket, but above all, I want to push people through pieces of string and trees.
So wait, imagine you're a coach, Fred. You are mentoring your boys who are very, very good at cricket. If you were trying to create a sense of team cohesion, you're running the England team or you're running the Lancashire team, would it just be practice in the nets, or would you do anything a bit out of the ordinary to get them to bond in a more successful way?
I think it's a dangerous thing when you try and get people to bond, because you're not all going to get on and, you know, doing a covert mission with Kevin Peterson, you know, what's that about? Or Jonathan Trott on a walkie-talkie. I mean, heck.
Do you know what I wouldn't do, Fred?
What?
Curfews.
Curfews, pointless.
So why...
I'm an adult.
I've been on team bonding trips where the manager will set a curfew. And curfews are there to be broken, especially when drinks involved. I've seen people going through windows. I've seen people, you know...
I got the wrong room at the hotel as well. I dived through an open window and there's a fella in bed.
No, shut up.
Promise you.
Not one of your teammates?
I don't know. No, he's about 70.
No.
I dived, it was in Taunton.
No way.
We'd come in, England under-19s. There was me, Alex Morris, who else? Gareth Batty, who's still playing, and Anthony McGrath. I don't know why, he'd gone home early from the nightclub. So he said, we got no key, so I'll leave the window open. So what we did was we went to hotel reception, already in on the roundabout at Taunton, and all the managers are still in the bar, they're having a drink, so we thought, we can't go through the bar. So we went to the petrol station down the road to have a regroup, get a packet of Watsits. So while we're thinking, we think, right, what will we do? And then we saw this window, which Mag said he'd keep open, so we thought we'll go through the window. But instead of like going through the window, just... carefully. Oh no, we ran at it. Alex Morris has dived through. I dived through on the top of Alex Morris, and then Bats is halfway through, and this fella, bless him, jumps out of bed, and he was like, oh, "That's not Mag, did it? It looked like you." So we jumped out, and then we decided we're going to go up the fire exit. So we're banging on the windows to get the fire exit open. We're playing against South Africa. Mark Boucher, who played for South Africa, he was under 19. He's let us in, gone to bed. As we're walking through, alarms have gone off, so security have now come to get us.
No way.
So we got rumbled anyway.
Freddie, did you ever have anyone come in and speak to the England or Lancashire cricket team? Just tell us how you reacted to it.
Don't get me on this, right?
No, let's.
Right, World Cup, right? 2007. We're in the West Indies. It's not going particularly right on and off the field for the team. In particular, me, right? I've been done on a little pedal, a plastic boat, so I've been sacked from vice captain. I've been banned for a game. I've been fined. I'm playing for free. So they think they need to bring someone in to motivate the team. So we all get gathered in a meeting room, and then this man walks in. Steve Redgrave walks in to give us a motivational speech. Now, you think about the irony of this, right? I have got in a small plastic boat. I have got banned. I have got fined. I have got disgraced. In comes a man who does it for a living and gets knighted. So... He comes in and tells us some jolly tales about rowing and, oh, we worked hard, and Matthew said one day, Pinson, oh, we got to work a little bit harder, and James said yes. So we carried on going through this, and then he told us what we should do when we win the toss. He said, oh, you think you should have a bat first? Nothing to do with you, stay in the water. Nothing to do with you, dry land. So we sat there thinking, what is going on? Why are we listening to this? I once gave a motivational speech before the tour of 2006-07 to Australia. I knew the lads liked them, I didn't. So I scoured the internet to find a motivational passage. So when they walked into the meeting room, on the chairs were all these pieces of paper. It was from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I got a quote from Narnia. So I thought, I'm going to give it him. I'm going to read it to him. So I'm reading Narnia to a group of adults who are looking at me, and they're thinking, this is good stuff, this is good stuff.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy.
for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
BBC 5 Live News at 1 o'clock. I'm Helen Place. Meghan Markle's made her first appearance with the royal family as she attended the Christmas Day service at the church on the Queen's Sandringham estate. Hundreds of people gathered to watch them arrive. Our royal correspondent, Daniela Relf, was there.
This was the first time we had seen her, Prince Harry's fiancée, in public as part of the wider royal family. It was her first public appearance with other members of the royal family. A slight break with protocol as well, because normally you don't get invited here for Christmas as a fiancée. That normally has to happen once you're married. But an exception has been made for her because, of course, her immediate family are in the United States. So she has been invited and she has been taking part in the full royal festivities for Christmas this year.
The Queen will praise what she calls the powerful identities of London and Manchester in her Christmas Day broadcast. She'll pay tribute to the people of the two cities and how they responded to the terror attacks this year. A British woman being held in an Egyptian prison for drug smuggling offences has appeared in court and had her trial adjourned until tomorrow. Laura Plummer was arrested in October when she was found with 290 tramadol tablets in a suitcase. The painkiller is legal in the UK, but not in Egypt. At least 4 people have been killed in a bus crash in Moscow. It careered into an underpass this morning. The Islamic State group says it carried out a suicide bombing in Afghanistan which killed at least 10 people. It happened near an intelligence agency in Kabul. Police in Surrey are trying to identify a man who was found unconscious in a ditch. They've released pictures of his clothing in the hope of getting more information about him. Our correspondent Andy Moore has more.
Surrey police say the man, who's thought to be in his 20s, was found by a dog walker at midday yesterday in the village of Merrow near Guildford. He was taken to hospital in a serious condition. It's not known how he became ill, but police say there are no suspicious circumstances. Officers haven't been able to interview him and they've been unable to match him with any known missing person.
An investigation's underway after a man was killed in a car crash during a police pursuit in Liverpool. It happened just after 4:30 this morning when the BMW hit a bus stop in the Old Swan area of the city. The incident has been referred to the IPCC. London's Euston Station has been transformed into a huge dining hall for hundreds of homeless people today. A special Christmas lunch has been organised by staff from Network Rail and the charity St Mungo's. Our correspondent Caroline Davies is there.
It's all looking rather festive. That's due to a team of volunteers that have been here since the last train left on Christmas Eve last night. Now, the guests here, there are 200 of them. They've all been invited. They would all have no permanent home to spend Christmas Day on. Now, Network Rail has received hundreds of donations, both of Christmas crackers, but also through to sleeping bags, which will be given out to many of the guests here.
All the sport now. Here's Andy Barwell.
Thank you. We start with cricket news. Australia's coach Darren Lehmann says he will step down from the job, but not until after the 2019 Ashes series in England. Lehmann says by then it'll be a case of too much time, too much travel. Australia's captain Steve Smith has challenged England's bowlers to target his injured wrist with short-pitched bowling when the current Ashes campaign resumes, with the 4th test in Melbourne. England will give a test debut to the Surrey pace bowler Tom Curran. In football, Southampton striker Charlie Austin has been banned for 3 matches, starting with tomorrow's Premier League game against Spurs, after accepting a charge of violent conduct. The FA made the move after Austin caught the Huddersfield Town goalkeeper in the face with his boot during Saturday's 1-1 draw. In rugby union, some cheer for Saracens, who ended a 7-match losing streak with a 29-17 victory over Leicester in the Premiership. Saracens moves up to 2nd in the table, 10 points behind the pace setters Exeter. And the former world number 1, Serena Williams, is making a surprise comeback to tennis in Abu Dhabi next Saturday, just 4 months after having a baby. It's in preparation for the defence of her Australian Open tennis title next month.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
Rain heavy at times over Northern Ireland, Northern England and Southern Scotland, turning to snow over the Scottish hills this afternoon. Mild for much of England and Wales, but heavy rain will push into western parts by this evening.
Get more from BBC 5 Live with 5 Live Podcasts.
More news.
Hello and welcome to Headliners.
Good day, Brexit casters.
This is Eye of the Storm. This episode is a little bit different.
More sport.
Hello, I'm Mark Chapman. Welcome to the 5 Live Football Daily.
Welcome to Rugby in a Weekly.
Welcome to Tail Enders.
It is very odd. but yeah, nice to be here.
More 5 Live.
This is Bunce's Tales of the Extraordinary.
Kermit and Mayer's film review, award-winning podcast.
This is Fighting Talk.
Search 5 Live in your podcast app.
Oh my word! We won an award for this rubbish.
Get more from BBC 5 Live.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy.
I wanted to bring up, if I may, and I hope you're not too offended by this, Fred, coming into the studio, we started talking about cars. That we drive. And you mentioned that when you
my
drive
Kia
the
Sorento,
Kia,
I love it.
you
Love
get
the
out
Kia
of the
Sorento.
Kia.
It's a beautiful
and
car,
people-
7 seats, got all the mod cons, sat nav, voice recognition. It's got leather seats. It's got beautiful alloy wheels. It's a beautiful tone of black. Have you heard enough about my Kia Sorento?
Well, what I was going to say is that we were talking about fame, and when you turn up at a particular thing in your Kia, you walk out, it doesn't turn many heads. And I said, yeah, but I bet it's different with the black Ferrari. And then Rob told me something that I never knew before. You also have a Lamborghini.
What, mouth?
What is going on?
Mouth? Mouth, Rob. Mouth. No, I got a minute. Don't you
He's
start.
on the ropes.
I'm off here. I'm defending myself. Robbie Savage here thinks he's a man of the people. Now he's bought a Mini. He's bought 2 £45 spotlights to put on the front from Alfred's. It looks like he's in the Italian job or something, driving around.
So I'm Mini. So I looked at it and I thought something missing. So I got £44 spotlights for the front.
Why? What did you do? Did you spot?
But they don't work. They're not wired up.
You're going down mines, isn't it? What are you doing?
But they're not wired up. They're not wired up. They're not wired up.
You just stuck them on.
Yeah, they bolted on. So they don't work because they look good. But they don't. So if I put the phone,
it's a matter of opinion. Now,
hold a second. They're not even functional, but you put them on because you thought it would improve the
like
image.
the Italian job. The car looks great.
I'm with you.
Anyway, just a quick.
Also, as well, Stanley was saying, because Stanley who works with us, drives him around, says because he's got these popping exhausts on his Mini Cooper S. John works. John works.
Yeah.
And he keeps putting his foot down to pop the lights like.
Can I throw in one thing?
Going back
the
to
other
Fred's
thing.
cars.
No, but okay, yeah.
No, but I thought
he moved on. He moved on brilliantly, didn't he?
Hilarious story. So we speak every day. And listen,
you and Fred do.
Yeah, he works hard.
You answer the phone every day.
But listen, sometimes he's got the most stupidest phone in the world.
It's an unknown number, isn't it? You don't see his number.
That's it. He's got the most stupidest phone ever. So I used to phone him, right? And I used to go, brr, and then...
what did he do?
Brr, well, when it goes. And then it used to say, user busy. So I used to ring Rachel, his wife, and say, Rachel, I can never get hold of Fred. She said, you've got to phone him twice. It said, the first time you ring him, it cuts off. Uh-huh. And it does. You try it. So you ring him, it will cut off. Yeah. Next time you ring it straight away, it rings out, and then he answers.
I've got to press. It goes through first time when I phone. We have a good 20 minutes on the phone.
I've got to press the decline button to 2 people now, Robbie and the wife.
The funny thing is about his car, he works hard and. He likes.
You don't have to justify it, Rob.
He doesn't like brand new cars, but he likes classic cars. And he's bought this this beautiful car, Lambo, right? Yeah. So anyway, we were looking around for ages and ages and ages. We're looking at Auto Trade, we're looking at all the magazines, and he keeps coming in every day at the gym. What about this one? What about this one? Uh-huh. We went to see one in Leeds. And I've got to say, have you seen the size of him? He's 6 foot.
Couldn't get in.
Mate, it's like the Ansel mob. His head was on the roof. That's why his hair comes.
Have you seen Police Academy?
Yeah.
Remember Hightower when he pulls the front seat out? Yeah. But do you know the worst thing is? I bought this car. I'll talk about it.
This is a Lambo.
Yeah, all right. You worked hard for it.
I know, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I wanted it. So I've been around. I'm on Auto Trader with Rob. We went to Yorkshire to look at one. Then I was down in Kent looking at another one. Right, I can't fit in it really. If I try and use the indicator, it gets stuck on my knee. Right? I can't see the sat nav dial because of my legs. I had to have my hair cut because it was squashing my fringe. Like, you know, my thing at the top. And my quiff, I had to lower that because I couldn't get my head in the car. It broke down. But it's all because it's Robbie's influence. Oh, it's great, that car, mate.
He's motivated you to get one. And then having motivated you to get one, he then hammers you on a podcast for not being a man of the people anymore.
But also as well, this car, right, I love driving it, and it's a nice drive.
It's a great car.
It's fun.
Is it smooth or is it?
No, it's raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. So it's good to drive, but when I get out of it, I feel like a right? Because you've got to press this button, and then with your elbow you've got to move this door up. You've got to put it up. And
Golving doors.
And then I get out.
Yeah.
I get out, I'm like a giraffe having a drink. I've got to get my legs out, and then I'm trying to get out as smooth as I can. The seats are carbon, so they don't move back, so I'm boxed up, right? I need a tin opener to get out. It's the worst. It's possibly the most expensive thing I've bought, and the worst.
So if you're doing like a supermarket shop,
I can't.
You don't go in it. You go in the
supermarket. I could probably fit some bread and a pint of milk in the boot, which is at the front of the car, which inevitably took me 3 weeks to realise how to open it.
So, have you ever asked a shocking question?
Oh, I've asked bad questions. I tell you, the really difficult one as a journalist is when you're interviewing a very high-profile sports person who's already done 2 interviews before he's seeing you or she's seeing you. And then you've got to try and make it fresh, and you've got to try and make sure that you build some kind of a rapport. They don't want to be with you. They're a bit resentful about the time they're having to give. That's tough. But most of the time, I find sports people are typically they understand you're just doing your job. You know, I've interviewed Ronaldo and Federer, most of the Phelps and Michael Johnson, most of the top athletes. Robbie Savage.
I asked Harrison Ford how old Wookiees lived to.
Chewbacca.
What did he say?
He said he didn't know they live forever in that land.
I reckon you could do a good Chewbacca impression.
I asked Will Smith if he'd have a hair transplant.
Really?
Yeah, I asked Mark Wahlberg what his fruity internet choices were.
Really?
And if he deletes his history. I asked one fella.
Did they take it okay or not?
Will Smith didn't. Harrison Ford, amazing. We had a proper chat. We had a giggle about it. A fella called Gerald, who was in a movie, asked him if he likes fishing because I had no more questions. So, yeah.
It's not easy, is it, interviewing
That's
someone?
hard.
No.
Very, very hard.
Well, do you know what I find the hardest bit is if I'm interviewing someone, like for me, I interviewed Harrison Ford, and I'm a massive fan, and I was interested in what he had to say, and I was hanging on his every word. And you talk about a rapport, we built a bit of a rapport, and we had a bit of a laugh. Yeah. It was brilliant. Will Smith, he could have told me anything, I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
And I ended up asking him if he'd have an hair transplant and things, and I got kicked out.
No way.
He started patting his head, saying, hey man, I can't go bald. And saying, no, get touchy, Will, it's just a question. And I got booted out.
Love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every sight and every sound.
Just tell us about the break with your wife again.
It was amazing. Honestly, it was amazing. Do you know what? It's funny because when she's getting ready at night.
Oh, here we go.
Seriously, when you go back to when you're like 22, 23, and I was holding hands with her, walking in Mykonos. It was amazing. Just like little things, and she doesn't drink, but she had a glass of wine, rosé, at lunchtime.
Bet she did with your intentions. How does she start fancying you after 5 glasses? When she gets her beer goggles on. Oh, he's alright, Robbie, isn't he, really?
Okay.
He might look a bit like Michael Heseltine, but I've had 2 bottles of rosé, it'll be alright. Come on, Tarzan.
Anyway, right. See? Nice. Right.
When it's really hot in the summer, do you have a fan on in your room?
No.
So you just go to bed
on the window.
Just open window.
And you sleep all right?
Yeah.
Even when it's like roastingly hot?
When is it roasting in this country?
We changed the duvet. We got a thick winter duvet.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then we got a thin sheet for summer.
That's what we've got.
Yeah,
and a plastic sheet when I was drinking. We never got too hot.
This is Flintoff, Savage, and the Ping-Pong Guy.
The things that scare us on and off the field. Irrational fears, nightmares, films, funny stories. Robbie, hair loss.
Well, he's having to deal with it at the minute.
What's going on with that, by the way, Robbie?
What's going on with it?
It's kind of that triangle on either side of your fringe. They're kind of receding. They're kind of going a bit further back.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle. Things are going missing.
What? Oh, he's got red.
I'm not allowed to get my
He can't get his cut, Kevin.
I'm going to play this Kevin Murray.
Can't brush his teeth either.
Say if you're in a helicopter, right?
Yeah.
If you got in a helicopter and hovered, why, if the world is round and spins, why does your destination not come to you?
Because of the principle of relativity.
Talk us through it.
So the atmosphere of the Earth, as it spins, carries around with the Earth. In the same way, if you're in a plane that's flying forward at 100 miles an hour and you throw a tennis ball up in the air in the plane, the tennis ball doesn't hit the back of the plane, it carries on with you. It's a fundamental precept of physics.
Yeah, there you go. Next. He's amateur. He's amateur there.
We said what makes you angry, Fred.
He's amateur there. Come on, Andrew. Don't give up that easy.
Oh. Well, that's called the principle of relativity. I mean, I didn't do physics at university.
You know what you should have done? You should have asked me. Because he's too clever.
With the risk becoming the new David Icke here, right?
Fred, don't.
No,
please.
come on.
Right.
Think about the long...
Matthew's just disproved your flat Earth theory with a...
That's not my theory, this is it.
With an example of a tennis ball and an aeroplane.
I think there are aliens amongst us.
You know think there are aliens, like, hanging around?
Why wouldn't there be?
Hang on, Andrew. There's aliens walking around now.
What, do you think there's a chance that Robbie is an alien?
He's different, but I wouldn't say an alien.
So you think there could be aliens walking around amongst us?
Yeah. Why not? But there's all these things like Roswell with...
Yeah.
They reckon they've got bodies in there from aliens and they've contacted before. There's been a lot of sightings and there's been all this and that. So who's to say...
Do you think they are masquerading as humanoids?
Well, I think they could be very similar to us, couldn't they? They could be very similar.
I've had my suspicions about Mike, the producer, for quite some time.
Why not? Why not?
There's aliens walking around.
They're not going to tell us because we'll panic. You disprove there's not then.
I've not seen one to start with.
How do you know?
What?
How do you know?
Well, because they haven't got funny heads and big eyes and...
Oh, is that what they've got to look like because you've watched Star Wars?
Well, what's an alien look like?
I don't know.
Well, you see shows. What's an alien look like?
Rob, they're not real.
I know that you think they're walking round.
Because
you think they're walking round outside. Let's go for the costume, Mr. Alien.
There might not be one on Media City, but there might be some somewhere.
Where?
I don't know.
Where?
I don't know.
Where? Not Media City, but where?
Anywhere.
Where?
Anywhere.
Name a place.
Anywhere.
Where?
Burnley.
There might be.
Burnley. Riddled with them. Riddled with them.
Next topic. This is yours, Fred. You're a big fan of Back to the Future, and it's inspiring this subject. If you could travel back to any historical event or time, where would we all go? Rob, do you want to kick off?
It's Fred's topic, isn't it?
No, the one thing about it was, we're talking last week and we're talking conspiracy theories.
Went down so well.
You want to go back to the moon landings?
A little bit, yeah. But there's so many things when you think about history.
Yep.
And you look back on some of the events which has happened, you think, you know what, I'd love to have been there. And I'm not talking about changing history or being do-gooding or anything like that. Completely self-indulgent.
Yep.
Where would you like to go just to have a bit of a nosy around, have a look around and see how it pans out?
So, I'll say where I would like to have gone. Dakota, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Idaho, Montana.
You don't need a time machine for that. Just get on a plane.
You can listen
go on your holidays to America. Wait a minute, Rob, you've not grasped this in its entirety, have you? You've just named a load of places in America. It's hardly Bill and Ted's Adventure, is it, this? Just wants to go on his holidays, wants to get a bit of sun.
Why are you picking on me again?
Because you just said Nevada.
Let me finish.
Go to Vegas if you want, mate. No, I'll take you. I'll buy you a ticket.
Let me finish.
Savage.
California, New Mexico and Colorado. Right, do you know why? Do you know why? The Wild West.
What?
That's where it was.
All the things you could do, all of the historical events. You want to go
to the Wild West?
Wild West.
You like cows or something? You want to be
What? Not the
Why?
Wild. So the horses, the saloons.
The horses?
What? You could have gone and seen the dinosaurs.
You want to see an horse?
You want to go and see a horse?
I went to see the dinosaurs.
Mate, on your way home today, when you drive through Mottram St Andrew, just before Mottram Hall on the left, have a look on the right. There's some stables. There's horses in fields. You're risking life. You're risking life and limb in a time machine to go and see Mr. Ed. Hey? Oh, that red rum.
You let me finish.
You come up with some stuff on this podcast. This has got to be the worst ever.
Why?
Try and justify it. Horses. What else?
I'd be like a cowboy on an horse. Yeah, and like on the horse going into the village with me like little
into the village. What village are you going into?
The Wild West.
The Wild West village.
And I want to burst through the saloons where you've got the music playing. And you've got everybody in there, and I want to burst in through those doors that you push and they flap back and forward. With me cowboy boots on, got the spurs on the back.
This is the only reason you want to go. You want to wear the outfit.
I've got me long hair.
This is pathetic. You just want to wear the clothes.
Fancy dress.
I've got me Stetsons, right? And then
Stetsons? Only one. It's a Stetson.
That's right, mate.
Hat.
And I want to be there, and like when you walk in and you
what colour horse? You got a white horse, haven't you? What's it called?
Norman.
Norman.
I like names like that.
Here he is. Robbie the kid on his horse, Norman.
Can you imagine, right? I've seen the films. You're going through the bar and then the music stops. Everybody's looking, who's this geezer here? Who's this geezer I've got? I'm looking.
They go, oh no, it's Robbie Savage.
Right? And then somebody wants to challenge me.
Mate,
you have a duel.
This is what I'm thinking. You're going to have to be very good at shooting. Because you're going to have to be quick. They're going to be calling out you left, right and centre.
Maybe horrible.
You've come in, all right.
I want to go to the Wild West.
You picture this. You've come in with your poncho and your Stetson and you've got your stirs on your back of your boots and your white horse called Norman.
Yeah.
The doors spring open. Here he comes, false tan white teeth. Hey, I know that how hard it was, but I know you're right. Outside now, 10 paces at dawn. Let's be having you.
That's what I want to do. Imagine that, 10 paces. Yeah. So everybody's looking at you. There's silence. I'm there. I mean, poncho looking like, as Freddie said,
like
teeth are gleaming.
Like Clint Eastwood.
Who's this geezer here? Rob, what can I call myself?
You need a nickname.
Obviously, there was people like James Butler. You know who that was?
James Butler.
Yep.
Wild Bill Hickok. Yep. He was called. Yep. What about William H. Bonnie Acker?
Stan been doing a lot of research.
Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid. No, so I'd be Robbie the Rodeo Savage.
Robbie the Rodeo Savage on his horse, Norman. Oh, they'd be bricking it when you walk into town. Yeah. Robbie the Rodeo Savage on Norman coming into town. Lock your daughters up, the sheriff will be out.
I mean, so there. Imagine dueling. Imagine dueling. I've seen it on films.
What's your favourite end of a film where there's been a shootout? Good, the Bad and the Ugly? Fistful of
James
dollars?
Bond, I think.
James
Bond?
What?
In a Western?
What, Moonraker?
Oh, you cowboy films.
What do you think I'm talking about?
This is your story, now you're going to
duel.
I like He Who Dares Wins. That's cowboy, isn't it?
He Who Dares Wins?
That was the SAS.
What is
their slogan?
That was when the embassy building in London, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Iranian embassy.
Yeah, Robbie,
you said that you've been inspired by the movies of these incredible duels between the cowboys. And I'm asking you, which film? You said He Who Dares Wins and Moonraker. What is he on?
What was that one? What was that great cowboy film with Emilio Estevez?
Oh,
Young Guns.
Young Guns.
What a film.
What's the one with Clint Eastwood in?
You tell us.
Clint Eastwood. The money.
The outlaw Josie Wales.
No.
Fistful of Dollars.
Fistful of Dollars.
Dollars?
What, the one
kebab shop as well, isn't
the one where we had
dollars.
Kebabs there.
Eating the kebab.
The one where we had the little the metal plate.
And few dollars more.
That's a good one.
That's the one I meant.
Clint isn't in the shootout at the end of that.
What about
Lee Van Cleef?
Shane.
Lee Van Cleef.
Shane. Have you seen that one, Shane? Oh, yeah, I tell you what.
Well, so mine.
Tell you what, that is the topic of the century.
I would love it. The Wild West.
Yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
What?
What are you going to do?
You can have a duel.
You're going to have a duel?
Duel? Probably be dead after one duel. It was just one duel.
Yeah, so you've just gone to commit suicide in the Wild West. Have you heard of this fella? Leroy Rosenoir. Have you heard of him, Rob? Have you heard of him? Have you heard of him? It's on the internet. Leroy Rosenoir. Who is it?
It's Leroy Senior.
That's not how it's spelled. Rose Noir. Rose Nior. What's he called?
Leroy Reservoir.
Whoever he is, I've never heard of him.
Leroy Senior.
But he took over. Oh, I'm not even going to tell you. He was manager for 10 minutes, all right? 10 minutes.
How long did he get?
10 minutes he got.
He got 10 minutes.
600 seconds.
No.
The former West Ham striker's appointment had come at the exact same time the club was being bought by a local consortium.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
He got 600 seconds.
Hey,
Some shortest managerial reign in history of English football.
How long did Leroy Senior get?
He got 12 minutes, but Leroy Rosenoir...
Irritating things at home.
Oh, yeah, go on.
For me, my wife, even though I do fancy and love it, as I've suggested on this podcast, it's when, you're watching the telly, and then she'll turn the volume down, just so you can't quite hear it. And then I turn it back up, and then she'll say it's too loud, she turns it down, and then she'll be in the room, it'll be 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and she'll leave all the lights on and walk out. But she puts the lights on all day. The halogen lights in the roof. What they called?
Halogen
spotlight,
lights.
yeah, but they're like the spotlight. They're quite expensive to leave on all day.
Yeah.
We got about 40 in one room, and she leaves them on all day.
Hang on a minute, how big's your... You got 40... Where'd you live? The Albert Hall? Or do you live at the Etihad? What do you mean you got 40 lights in a room?
Let me count them now. I'm just going to count them now.
40
There's
lights?
too many. I can't understand why they put so many in. But they're on different settings. So one button will turn A on.
Is it Lutron?
No, it's just like lights. So you press one button, 8 will come on, and you press another button, 8 will come on. I think there's 32. There's 4 sets of 8 in the kitchen. So you turn them on, but she turns them all on. You've got an all on or an all off, and you've got separate ones. So she comes in, turns it all on, and then she walk out, and it's bright sunshine outside. Cost me a fortune.
What would you say to her?
Turn the lights off.
Is that why you've
always say, "Oh, you're lucky. You go and spend X and Y, Z in the car, but I can't even have the hot water on."
Hey.
What do you mean?
You don't let her have the hot water on?
No, it comes on a timer. Why do you leave the hot water on all day?
Comes on a timer?
Yes.
What, so you're going to time your baths?
Yeah, we have it on.
You can have one at 6:30, love, because the time
We
is
do.
on. But if you don't finish by 7, then you're not having one.
We turn it on 5:30 in the morning. It goes off at 7 because the kids then can have a shower before they go to school. It comes on 12 till 1 in the afternoon, and then 5 till 9.
Is that why you've always got a tan? Because lights are always on? Is that why you're always sun-kissed?
So, do you
I used
know-
to get one off the fridge light.
But so she'll turn the water on all day and have the water on all day, have the lights on all
I
day.
get the water on all day?
Yes.
What, so at certain
It's a
points...
timer.
Right, what, to have actual water on?
Hot water.
Oh, hot water.
Hot water.
Heat in the water.
Yeah, do you have it all day?
I couldn't tell you, Rob, to be honest.
You know exact times.
Yeah.
Do you
not?
Idea.
I couldn't
Absolutely
tell you. I turn
no
my tap
idea.
on and water comes out.
So that irritates
Depending on
me.
which tap, the temperature changes.
Another thing, she leaves clothes everywhere. So in our bedroom we've got clothes. On the landing we'll have clothes. In the downstairs, in one of our toilets we can't get in because it's full of clothes. Two of our toilets we can't get in because it's full of clothes.
So where'd you go to the toilet?
We've got a few more. What irritates you at home?
A few things irritate me. One thing is, in our house, towels. We must have 40 white towels in the house, all over the house. If I use them, I can get a right one. I've got them. I've got my sink in my bathroom, so every night, obviously, I go and brush my teeth, and there's 3 towels. They're rolled up perfectly. They're beautiful, they're soft. I don't know what they're made of cotton, but they look really nice. And I think I would love to wipe my mouth with that towel. But if I know for a fact, if I use that towel, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
My night is going to be ruined. So I'll wipe my face up back in my hand or take my pants off and wash them with my pants because I know it's just not worth it. There'd be a scabby towel which has been used for the past month that I could use if I can find it.
We don't have white towels in our house. If I wipe myself and then they turn orange.
This is Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy.
3, that's a magic number.
That's a magic number.
More live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
5 Live news headlines at 1:30. I'm Helen Place. Meghan Markle's joined the royal family for the first time at their Christmas Day church service on the Queen's Sandringham estate. Hundreds of people gathered to watch them arrive. The Queen will use her speech today to pay tribute to the way in which the people of Manchester and London dealt with this year's terror attacks. She'll speak about the powerful identities of both cities. At least 4 people have died in a bus crash in Moscow. It careered into an underpass this morning. A number of other people has also been injured. The Islamic State group says it carried out a suicide bombing in Afghanistan which killed at least 10 people. It happened near an intelligence agency in Kabul. And a British woman being held on suspicion of drug smuggling in Egypt has appeared in court. 33-year-old Laura Plummer from Hull was arrested in October when she was found carrying almost 300 tablets of the painkiller tramadol. Her case has been adjourned until tomorrow. All the sport now. Here's Andy.
Let's start with cricket news first of all. Australia's coach Darren Lehmann says he will step down from the job, but not until after the 2019 Ashes series in England. His deal will run out after that, and he won't seek to renew it. Australia's captain Steve Smith has challenged England's bowlers to target his injured wrist with short-pitch bowling when the current Ashes campaign resumes, with the 4th test in Melbourne. England give a test debut to the Surrey pace bowler Tom Curran. He replaces the injured Craig Overton. Simon Mann has sent us this report.
England have resisted the more radical option of giving a debut to leg spinner Mason Crane, so it's 4 right-arm pace bowlers again, with Curran chosen instead to play his first test. Curran, who's also a useful batsman, made his white ball debut in the summer and is a sort of combative cricketer who's unlikely to be overawed by the huge Boxing Day crowd. He's learnt his trade on good pitches at the Oval, and at the age of 23 has taken 171 first-class wickets at 29 apiece. That experience will be valuable. Steve Smith described the MCG service as dry and likely to be full of first innings runs.
On football, the Southampton striker Charlie Austin's been banned for 3 matches, starting with tomorrow's Premier League game against Spurs, after accepting a charge of violent conduct. The FA made the move. Austin caught the Huddersfield Town goalkeeper in the face with his boot during Saturday's 1-1 draw. In Rugby Union's Premiership, Saracens ended a losing sequence with a 29-17 victory over Leicester. That result saw Saracens moved up to 2nd in the table, although they are 10 points behind the leaders Exeter. Well, Saracens Director of Rugby, Mark McCall, has been talking about his side ending that run of defeats.
It's concentrated the mind, and it's allowed us as a group to reflect probably more than we would normally do on how we want to go forward as a group on the field, off the field, and hopefully in years to come we can look back at this period and say that was one of the periods that pushed us on.
Well, tomorrow sees the mid-season highlight of the National Hunt racing season with the King George VI chase at Kempton Park. Thistle Crack defends the title but won't start as favourite for the big race. That honour will go to Might Bite for the champion trainer Nicky Henderson. Here's our correspondent Cornelius Lysett.
Although there's been no racing since December the 23rd, there's still plenty of activity within the industry. Horses clearly still have to be cared for by trainers and their staff, many prepared for Boxing Day races. And on the track, staging fixtures, final preparations for afternoons which they hope will be busy, lucrative and therefore very significant for the business of racing are taking place. Some years officials are anxiously eyeing the weather, but that isn't really the case this time. At Kempton, a bumper crowd is forecast for a day that's historically been amongst Christmas's sporting highlights, when up to 8 runners will contest the King George VI chase.
And the former world number 1 Serena Williams is making a comeback to tennis in Abu Dhabi on Saturday, just 4 months after having a baby. It's all in preparation for the defence of her Australian Open title next month.
F1.
say a big thanks to everyone in this team. What you've done the past couple of years is just remarkable, and I'm just so grateful for all your hard work this year.
Lewis Hamilton is a 4 times world champion. We are joined in a special show to review the season by Toto Wolff, the boss of Mercedes Motorsport.
5 Live Formula 1 review of 2017 later today from 5:30.
F1 on 5 Live.
You're listening to 5 Live. Emma Bullymore takes us behind the scenes of Strictly in half an hour's time. But first, we rejoin Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy for some more bits of their best bits of their award-winning podcast.
3, that's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean? This is Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy.
What is the definition of world class?
What is world class? Is it performing at the highest level consistently? Is it being the best in your position? What entitles somebody to be world class?
So I would define world class as somebody who realistically could be described as one of the best 10 in the world in their sport.
At any one time, yeah? So can you be world class for a year?
Time. No, I think somebody becomes a legend. Somebody goes beyond world class when they sustain that ability for a long period of time, so when they have longevity. But if somebody can say, realistically, at this point in time, I'm one of the best 10 in the world, then I think that constitutes a world class.
What do you think, Fred?
I disagree slightly. I reckon world class is someone who performs on the world stage at the highest level for a period of time. Doesn't necessarily have to be the best or the top 10. When I look at world class, I think of a large group of people who performed over a period of time.
Yeah. So I will say, for periods or for a game, I put in world class performances.
You did.
Why
Well, it's Matthew. He's being.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You did. There was times in my career when I put in a world-class performance.
How many games did you play for Wales?
39.
So you played 39 games on the world level?
Yeah.
How many of them games went well? No, why are you laughing, Matthew? I'm going somewhere
why are
with
you
this.
laughing?
Sound like Jeremy Paxman.
I reckon I played probably 20 times.
So that's if you played 20 times the world stage, you're world class.
Hang on, you're now saying that Rob was world class.
We played for Wales. I know it's Wales, but he played for Wales twice. Did you win any of them games? How many of them games did you win?
A few.
Yeah. What?
So I man-marked. Gianfranco Zola was world class.
Yep.
Right, world class. And I man-marked him when I played for Leicester against Chelsea. I was designated. You man-mark him. Don't worry about the ball. Just stay close to him. So I stayed close to him.
Was that the other sense here? Yeah. Don't worry about the ball.
Yeah. Don't worry about the ball. Do what you're good at, son.
If it comes near you, just run out of the way.
Yeah, seriously. If he stood on the...
Don't touch it, Rob. Don't touch it. We're trying to play football. Don't touch the ball, Rob.
So if he stood on the touchline, I'd go and follow him. Didn't care.
Savage, get off the ball.
So I man-marked him. He was world class. He got taken off after 60 minutes. We won the game 2-0. So on that day...
How many times did you touch it?
Not many. But on that day...
That your best game?
Seriously, I'm getting a bit embarrassed here. So for that game, I was world class.
You're world class at running next to someone.
Can bust-ups sometimes be good for a team?
Yes, they can. I've had a couple of occasions when I've had a couple of fights, believe it or not.
Yep. Fights?
Yeah.
Really? Proper fights?
Well, not proper fights, just altercations. There was one with Nico Vasson, who was a goalkeeper at Birmingham. You know, because of my banter and dressing room camaraderie, I look for any little fault in anybody. And I remember Nico struggled to kick the ball, you know, over
He's a footballer. He struggled to kick the ball.
But he was a good goalkeeper, Nico. Nice fella as well. On this one occasion, I just kept on and on and on. And we were in the change room, and I said something about he couldn't. Was it a gale force wind today or something? I kept going on. Anyway, he stood up and he come over to me. I'm sitting on the bench, and he grabbed me by the throat. So I thought, oh no, what do I do? He was 6'6". I was sitting down. Wow. So as I've got up, I've put my head up to his chin and, he cut his lip. And then a bit of an altercation.
Did you headbutt him? Was it an headbutt?
Well, it was like, when you're sitting down, he was towered over me. As I got up, I've hit my head up and hit him on the chin.
Did you quiff up his nose?
I did have a quiff long, and obviously we had to see the manager, and it was Steve Bruce. And in a way, I knew, because of my position at the football club at the time, that nothing would happen to me, because I was Player of the Year, I was a favourite, fans' favourite, and I was in a strong position. And maybe I went a bit too far, because I even go up the stairs to see the manager, I was winding him up, saying, well, me or you? I'm not going to play with you again. Still winding him up, and it all got sorted out. That was one occasion where banter went a bit too far from my point of view. And then Clinton Morrison, we had a fight over a mobile phone.
What?
Yeah, but...
Did he have more data than you?
Because as a footballer, you always wanted a new gadget. You always wanted the next best thing. So these phones come out, and I said to Clinton, I can get you one of those phones. So he said, oh, brilliant. Anyway, I got him the phone. It was a couple of £100. And then a couple of weeks passed and I said, just bring us that £200 in with you, Clinton. And he went, all right. And it didn't come. So one morning we're having breakfast and I said, listen, bring me the money now. I'm getting a bit fed up. He went, no, what are you going to do about it? So I launched at him over the table, and the table collapsed in the canteen, and we had a little scuffle. And that,
was there any punches thrown?
Well, like a scuffle.
Or was it just a bit of a wrestle?
A bit of a wrestle. But Clinton's a great fella, get on, and that probably cleared the air between us. So sometimes you have a little scuffle, they bring people together.
In the cricket culture, there was never... I remember seeing videos of football managers and they go around shouting and screaming. And that wasn't really cricket. You spend so much time with people. I once had a bit of a bust-up with Peter Moores, who he took over as England coach after Duncan Fletcher. And I love Peter Moores and I like working under him. And we was in India, and Sahara were the big sponsor, and they've got this village, and they put a party on just for the England team. And we were sat there, and I could smell money. There was money knocking about. So the waiter come over and he said, would you like a drink? I said, yes, please. Could I have a bottle of 96 Dom Perignon, please? And he just said, yeah. Oh, hang on. Whoa, here we go. We're in here, lads. And then he brought the Dom Perignon. Me and Steve Armisen, Army drinking Dom Perignon. It's like teaching a dog to sing this. He's there, right? And he's drinking Dom Perignon with his finger up. And then we had one bottle, we had two bottles, and I think KP joined us, and then Peter Moores joined us, who was the coach. Then Hugh Morris, who ran the ECB at the time, joined us, and we got through a case of Dom Perignon. So I asked for another bottle. He said, sorry, sir, we've only got Moet. I said, oh, rum it now, I'm going to have to rough it. So they brought a bottle of Moet, and then it was left. There was me, Harmy, Peter Moores, and Hugh Morris. And we got into a heated discussion about something, the state of cricket or whatever's going on. And Peter Moores, I said something, and Peter Moores said to me, if I had £1 for every time you said that, I'd be a rich man. So I turned around to Pete and said, if I had £1 for every time you put your hand on your hip when you're addressing us, I'd be very rich. Right? He had this little pause, and I really liked Pete. And then, what I can relate of it, we went at each other. Not fighting, but it got a bit heated between the two of us. And then Hugh and Army stepped in and went to bed. Woke up the next morning, and then you think, oh, I was a bit dusty, and we're getting the bus early. And I'm thinking, oh, no, I had a row with Pete last night. I thought, I've had one coach I can't get on with, and now Peter Moores, I really like him. And everyone's getting on the bus, and Mooresy was at front as everyone's getting on the bus. And I was walking towards him, and he had the biggest grin on his face as I was walking to him. And we didn't even say anything. We just nodded at each other, shook our heads, and then our relationship was back on track. It was great.
On roommates as well, John Hartson, great guy, very good friend of mine. He was quite a big lad. Remember we used to have the Kappa shirts, and they were really tight, and, he was bright red in the face, sweating when he used to play. What a player, what a lad. Mm-hmm. But one great story is that one night, so after the night out, I was in bed first. We had 2 double beds. I'm lying there, and I knew John would be coming in within the next hour, right? And I thought, right, I've got to pretend to be asleep here. So it was about 2:30. Anyway, in he comes, and he's not a quiet lad. He jumps on the bed, lets out a huge sigh. I thought, I'm just going to pretend to be asleep, because if I start talking now, you'll be awake till half 4, 5 o'clock. So anyway, I heard him pick up the phone and say, order some room service. Half two in the morning, right? So anyway, I thought, right, okay, he's going to be quiet. Half an hour later, knock on the door. Seriously, in comes the room service. And it wasn't a plate, it was a tray of sandwiches.
Go on, John.
Right? Tray of sandwiches, 4 bags of crisps, can of Coke, and you know when your roommate's there, you're trying to get to sleep. He opened the can of Coke, like, and then getting like the honey monster, eating the crisps, and I turned over. By this point, I'd had enough. I turned over and said, "John, come on, John." He went, "Sav, I always have a snack this time of the morning, son." Like 3 in the morning. No wonder he couldn't fit in that Wales top.
I've got to say, Fred, when he mentioned room service, you started nodding your head at that
No, because
point.
what we used to do, used to come in, and this had been mid-test match, it don't matter, we come in late, and then I'd do a sweep down the corridor. You know, have you never done that? When there's a trays out, you just see what people have left. You used to just dive in and go, someone's had some chips here. Then go to the next room, have a bite of an half-eaten burger.
How far off-piste have you gone in order to earn a paycheck?
I'm sexy and I know it.
Well, one of the ones I'd done was for an underpants company, and that's why I started going to the gym, because
to be an underpant model?
Well,
how long ago was this?
So basically, it was not long after Strictly. So I've done a few things. Not long after Strictly,
You stood next to a bed with a bird, weren't you?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So basically,
that went down well at home.
Oh no, it didn't at all. I'd done that, and I was standing by the bed, and the lady, the model, was lying on the bed.
No way.
Yeah, in all lovely lingerie, and I had to like pose over her, like with my trousers, my shirt undone, the bow tie sexily drooped around me, and my trousers like.
Thank God. A bow tie was sexily drooped around
you know, if you're wearing it, and but it's undone basically.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's an undone bow tie.
That's what I meant. I was just trying to set the scene, Fred. You know?
Sorry.
Yeah, and my trousers were like low enough so you could see the branding of the underpants. You know, and I would have to stare like gazingly into this model's eyes, like
no way.
And then there's another one where I was standing up and she was like ripping my shirt off. You know, and it was like, and I'd done that for a few quid. It wasn't me at all. It wasn't me at all.
What was it like? So this was all lit up.
Oh,
and you
no,
had
in a big
fashion designers.
Yeah, in a big country house.
Wow.
The big country house.
You get nervous?
Oh, massively nervous.
What was you thinking?
I was just thinking, because not being funny. I'm not funny, but when you're there and you're seeing a lady in lingerie lying on the bed, and there's cameras everywhere, but I was just thinking, whoa. I don't know, I was thinking,
about the cameras.
No, because I was just thinking, just relax. I was just thinking of all different kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I done one with Amy Childs. I done a washing machine thing with Amy Childs.
Washing machine? I've spoke to your missus. You've never even seen a washing machine. You can't work one.
After Strictly, because I'd done okay, it was like, can you promote these washing machines? So I was sitting on the washing machine.
Robbie Savage is a well-known washing machine man.
I was at the Daily Mirror Awards. Lloyd Embley, who's the editor, sat on his table. Great guy, friend of mine now. And I was presenting one of the awards. And I remember, I can't remember, it was Best Regional Paper, because the Daily Mirror have like the regional papers around Britain.
Yeah.
So it was the regional awards, and I was presenting the Best Regional Award. So I've got on the stage, and it was like, and the winner is.
Yeah.
So I've opened the envelope, and I thought I'll have a bit of fun here.
Oh, never do that,
mate.
No. Never do that.
I swear it's so true. I've gone, third place is blah, blah, blah. Second place is blah, blah, blah. And then I remember, because before the awards, this table from Newcastle, I think it was, stood up, and everybody was clapping them, and everybody thought they were going to win.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've gone, and the winner is, and I've said that table.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've all cheered, they've all stood up, and as I've gone to read the winner, I've looked up and I've gone, I was only joking, and the guy was on the stage.
Oh no!
He was on the stage. I've looked at the editor of the Daily Mirror, and he's got his head in his hands, and I thought, what do I do? It's true. So I've read out the winner to have a laugh and a joke.
Warren Beatty, you, aren't you?
I've gone, it's not you.
Hey, Warren Beatty at the Oscars.
Oh, mate, he's there. So I said, listen, I'm sorry, it's not you. And everybody started booing.
Booing you?
Booing me, yeah. Seriously.
At least you know how to react to that, don't you?
I'm standing there, and I've had to read the original winner out. That never got a cheer then, because people were saying about him. And I thought, oh my, I'm going to lose my job here. I'm going to lose my job. But what I'd done, after that, I thought, what can I do to make up for that? I thought, what can I do? I've just... Oh my dear, just thinking about it now is horrendous. And what I done was, out of the goodness of my heart, I thought I've messed up the port.
That's not the goodness of your heart, really, is it? You're backtracking.
So basically,
the goodness of your heart would have been a selfless act. This is not a selfless act. This is you. You're in a bit of trouble. You're worried that your Daily Mirror column's going to come to an end because the editor's got his head in his hands. You've announced the wrong person thinking, I'm going to have a bit of fun, unquote. So, Robbie, don't start giving it that. Just tell us what you did to get yourself out of what can only be described as a bit of a pickle.
So basically what I've done, I'm very fortunate to know a few people and have some very good friends, and one person happened to have a house abroad. So what I done was I gave the guy a quick ring and said, listen, man, I'm in a massive pickle here.
And out of the goodness of my heart, did you give him?
So basically I give the guy a week's holiday abroad in a nice house with flights included for messing up.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong guy.
So the driver I had for Saturday is Gaz. Gaz, I call him Gaz the driver, great fella. And he, what? Gaz.
How'd you come up with that? How'd you come up with them, Rob? Tell you, Rob, this is why. This is what,
it's innovating.
This is why. This is why you get paid the big bucks. Just coming up with little pearls like that. Like, who'd have thought Gaz was a driver? Who'd have thought? How'd you think them up, Robbie? How'd you do it?
Tequila, it makes me happy.
I think anyone listening is thinking to themselves, sport is about fine margins. It's about intense competition, and anything you can do to be better prepared than the opposition is going to give you that margin. And yet you guys are talking about a culture that seems like the antithesis of sport. What's your take on it now? Do you think that was a healthy thing? Do you think that's something that ought to be eliminated from professional sport?
I think to the extremities that it was when I started playing cricket. You walked in, it was very much a drinking culture. You come off from fielding a day's play, the 12th man would do a drinks list. So you'd have 6 lagers, 5 bitters. First drink you get off, you get your pint, you have a swig, you see your pint off, you probably have another in the dressing room. Then you go and meet the opposition in the bar, maybe have 2 or 3 more. So you get on the bus, have 5 pints in, meet in the hotel bar for a drink pre-dinner, 6 pints, have a couple over dinner, 7, 8, one nightcap, 9, 10 pints.
Really?
That's how it was.
And how did it change over the course of your career? By the time you got to the end of your
career... I went on to shorts.
And bottles of red wine.
Whiskey. Do you know what? I tried to be a football fan, and I've got a story which I'm really embarrassed by.
You never told the story before?
No, but I'm embarrassed by it. There's a reason, and you'll find out why I've not told this before. I sampled football, right? Remember when England played in the World Cup in Germany?
2006.
Opening game, I went. I got invited to go by a company I was working for at the time. But it was on the proviso I do a live match of the day interview from the ground. The night before, I'd been at a party. My mate's missus' 40th birthday party. I've got a taxi picking me up at 5:45. I get home with Steve Armisen at 5:45. I've got my times mixed up. The taxi's waiting. So we've just got straight into the taxi. We're going to pick Neil Fairbrother up, my agent. We're outside his house. I'm outside the sunroof, chanting football songs about England and this and that, waking the whole street up. He gets in the car. We get on the plane to Frankfurt. I sleep all the way. This sponsor I'm working with, they've organised the breakfast, beautiful. I said, I don't want this. I'm a football fan today. I want to be with my people. I want to go and drink with the fans. So we go to the ground. We have a few drinks with the fans. We're doing the chanting. We're doing all that. We're getting into it. Don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying myself. We turn up at the ground. We walk in. I do my interview live on the BBC. In my head, this interview is the best interview I've ever done. I've summed up the passion, I've summed up the crowd, I've summed up the atmosphere, I've summed up everything which is good about sport. Unfortunately, I was talking Egyptian. Not one word I said made sense. They go back into the studio, I found out later date, Gary Lineker's just sat there with his eyes wide open. Ian Wright's giggling. They say, oh, Fred enjoys his weekends. But it gets worse, right? I have a run-in with Graham Paul, your mate.
Really?
Graham Paul starts to tell me about how bad England are at cricket. I'm playing for these lads. So I told him to beep off, which he was quite happy with. He says, now I've been told to F off by so many footballers, now a cricketer. So I've told him. We drink all day, like all the fans do. We do it. And then
because we're being looked after by this company, when we get on the flight, we get escorted on. We're first on. We're important.
And you're hammered at this point.
Oh, yeah. Right? So I'm ticking. So we're going through. And you know when you're in an airport and then you think, I've got to go through security, but I need a wee. But if I go for a wee, I'm going to get the back of the queue. It's going to waste time. So I think I'll do it when I get on the plane. So I get escorted onto the plane. I'm struggling. I've got my legs. I'm tensing. I'm walking faster. I get onto the plane. I just go. I open the door. I pull my pants down. I fling my head back. I open my eyes. I'm not in the toilet. I'm in the cockpit. There's 2 German pilots. So then, like all football fans do who've disgraced themselves, the security come on, I get marched off the plane. I've now got to walk past a line of 100 yards of England football fans who now think I'm the Messiah. They think I am the man. This is brilliant. I'm a football fan. I was skulking down, I had my head down as they're chanting my name. Freddie enjoys his weekends.
Oh, goodness me.
But I'm not happy with that. It's something which will never, ever happen again. I'm one of the many reasons I stopped drinking. Yeah. Dressing room pranks. You know, Rob, you was involved in class of 92. You've played with some characters. What's the best prank you've played on someone or have played on you?
There's been lots where, when I went to Brighton, somebody hid my car, left train in my car, wasn't there? One of the younger lads, I think it was it Glenn Murray or was it Foster? Well, one of them moved my car, went to get my car, wasn't there.
How did they get hold of the key?
Well, they went in my bag. I've had all my clothes cut up, birthday. Went to train in my new clothes. They were cut to the knees and the arms were cut off. You know. So
did you find out who did it?
No, you never know. You never know. I've heard of stories where people poo in people's wash bags.
No,
disgusting.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Disgusting.
When people are sitting in the toilet in the morning, you'll go and get a bucket of ice water, throw it over the top of the toilet, soak them.
Classic.
Nobody knows who it is.
Glenn Chappell, he's now coach of Lancashire. He was captain of Lancashire, one of my best friends, brilliant lad, played a lot with him. And his nickname for some reason became the Ginger Pig for a while. So he didn't like it. So what we did was, I was at Birkdale and I'd gone to this barbecue before the open.
Compared to what we've got right now, it's still not going to be desperately chilly. Temperatures tomorrow, for example, will be around 4 degrees in Scotland, 7 degrees in the south. However, tomorrow evening, Boxing Day night, there is a chance of a little bit of snow across the Welsh Hills and maybe the Pennines. I'm Thomas Schaffenacker, 5 Live Weather.
Thanks very much indeed, Thomas. Thomas there with the latest on the weather. Coming up, Flintoff, Savage and the Ping-Pong Guy. First, let's get the latest headlines here on 5 Live with Helen Place.
More live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
BBC News on 5 Live at 12:30. Meghan Markle's made her first appearance with the royal family as she attended the Christmas Day service at the church on the Queen's Sandringham estate. Hundreds of people gathered to watch them arrive. The Queen will use her speech today to pay tribute to the spirit of the people of Manchester and London following the terrorist attacks there this year. 10 people have died in a suicide bombing near Afghanistan's intelligence agency in Kabul. The Islamic State group says it was behind the attack. An investigation's underway after a man was killed in a car crash during a police pursuit in Liverpool. It happened just after 4:30 this morning when the BMW hit a bus stop in the Old Swan area of the city. The incident has been referred to the IPCC. London's Euston Station is being transformed into a huge dining hall for homeless people today. It's been organised by staff from Network Rail and the homeless charity St Mungo's. All the sport now, here's Dom.
England will begin their latest attempt to beat Australia in the Ashes when the Boxing Day test gets underway later. Tom Curran will be given his test debut. Coming in for the injured Craig Overton, and the England captain Joe Root has been giving his reasons for the selection.
I do think that making this change gives Tom a great opportunity. It gives a chance for us to see what he can provide it at this level, and the skills and everything that Tom brings leads us to the selection.
The Australian captain Steve Smith will have to bat with an injured wrist, but remains sure that the hosts can get another victory.
We're obviously pretty confident. It's been a good summer so far. Obviously won back the Urn, which was the objective at the start of the series, and we've now got an opportunity to keep winning. That's been my message to the boys. Don't worry about 5-0 at this stage. You've got to win this one first and keep winning games of cricket. I think winning can become a bit of a habit, and for us it's about trying to stay in those good habits.
It's also been announced that Australia's head coach Darren Lehmann will step down from his position after the 2019 Ashes tour in England. Well, you can hear ball-by-ball coverage of the fourth Ashes test from the MCG in Test Match Special with all the team on 5 Live Sports Sector from 11 p.m. this evening. Southampton's top scorer, Charlie Austin, has been handed a 3-match ban. He's been charged with violent conduct by the FA. Sheffield Wednesday and Middlesbrough are both looking for managers over the Christmas period after they got rid of theirs, Carlos Carvajal and Gary Monk respectively, after the fixture between the two sides. And after 7 defeats in a row, Rugby Union's European champions are back to winning ways.
Belted into the Holland and Barrett stand by Owen Farrell. He's been superb today for his side. Captain Sarries kicked 17 points, including a smart drop goal. 2 Saracens tries, the penalty try and the Jamie George score. And despite Leicester rallying somewhat with Matt Tate, one of their try scorers, on the whole, it's been a pretty convincing job done by Saracens.
29-17, the final score at Welford Road. The England wing Johnny May was sent off in that match for receiving 2 yellow cards. A host of race meetings taking place tomorrow. They include the King George VI Stakes at Kempton. We'll keep you right across those in 5 Live Sport tomorrow afternoon. And the former world number 1 tennis player Serena Williams is making a surprise comeback to the sport. This at the Mubadala exhibition event in Abu Dhabi.
For news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live.
The BBC News on 5 Live at 2 o'clock. I'm Helen Place. Meghan Markle's made her first appearance with the royal family as she attended the Christmas Day service at the church on the Queen's Sandringham estate. Hundreds of people gathered to watch them arrive. These people were there.
It's just been a tradition, really. This is my 4th year here, so.
And coming here, it's my first time, and I'm very excited.
This is our way of celebrating Christmas, coming to see the Queen. So it's Merry Christmas, nothing but champagne and scones.
The Queen will praise what she calls the powerful identities of London and Manchester in her Christmas Day broadcast. She'll pay tribute to the people of the two cities and how they responded to the terror attacks this year. A man who was stabbed in a restaurant in Middlesbrough yesterday has died. 41-year-old Mazza Ali was attacked in Manjaros. He died this morning in hospital. A 20-year-old man has been arrested. The police watchdog is investigating after a car being pursued by officers was involved in a fatal crash in Liverpool this morning. A man in his 30s died in hospital. The driver was reportedly arrested at the scene. The Islamic State group says it carried out a suicide bombing in Afghanistan which killed at least 10 people. It happened near an intelligence agency in Kabul. This man was there.
I was having breakfast when the explosion happened. A crowd of people gathered there. God forbid, there could be more casualties.
A bus has left a road in Moscow, ploughing into a subway entrance, killing at least 4 people and injuring 15 others. The cause isn't known, but there's no suggestion it was a terror attack. London's Euston Station is being transformed into a huge dining hall for homeless people. Christmas lunch has been organised by staff from Network Rail and the homeless charity St Mungo. Steve Neighbour had the idea.
We got 45 volunteers who have offered their own time to come and make this happen today. We've got a 4-course lunch, starting with smoked salmon, then we've got a nice soup, and then we've got turkey roast and also a vegetarian option. And we've also got Christmas pudding. I'm really proud of everyone who's worked on this, all volunteers.
Members of the Muslim community in West Yorkshire are spending Christmas Day volunteering for older people in Huddersfield. A youth association is making sure more people don't spend the day alone. Eddie Redmayne will become the latest celebrity to read the CBeebies bedtime story today. The actor will read If I Had a Dinosaur by Gabby Dorney in a festive special for the channel. Here he is in action.
If I had a dinosaur, he'd carry me to school and all my friends would shout, "Oh, wow, your dinosaur is cool." My dinosaur would learn to count and say the alphabet, and all the teachers would declare, "Why, what a clever pet."
Andy Barwell has the sport.
And Australia's cricket coach Darren Lehmann is stepping down from the job after the 2019 Ashes series in England. Lehman says by then it'll be a case of too much time and too much travel. Meanwhile, Australia's skipper Steve Smith has challenged England's bowlers to target his injured wrist with short pitch bowling when the current Ashes campaign resumes, with the fourth test in Melbourne starting later. England give a test debut to the Surrey pace bowler Tom Curran. He replaces the injured Craig Overton. In football, Southampton striker Charlie Austin has been banned for 3 matches, starting with tomorrow's Premier League game away to Spurs. Austin accepted an FA charge of violent conduct. He caught the Huddersfield Town goalkeeper Jonas Lossell in the face with his boot during Saturday's 1-1 draw. Saracens ended a 7-match losing streak with a 29-17 victory over Leicester Tigers. In Rugby Union's Premiership, Saracens moved up to second in the table. And the former world number 1, Serena Williams, is making a return to tennis in Abu Dhabi on Saturday, just 4 months after having a baby. It's all in preparation for the defence of her Australian Open title next month.
This is BBC 5 Live on digital, online, smartphone and tablet.
Rain heavy at times over Northern Ireland, Northern England and Southern Scotland. It will turn to snow over the Scottish hills later on this afternoon. Mild for much of England and Wales, but heavy rain will push into western parts by this evening.
5 Live Sport.
Boxing Day. The presents are unwrapped. The turkey's been eaten and the kids have fallen out for the 1000th time. But the joys of Christmas are just beginning with 5 Live Sports.
Happy Christmas to you all.
Season's greetings. Let the festive football begin.
Join 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra for a festive feast of live sport. The Ashes, the 4th test from Melbourne.
Football commentary from Spurs versus Southampton and Liverpool against Swansea, as well as updates from around the grounds.
Plus live horse racing from the King George VI Chase at Kempton.